Okay, so we're here in the equipment tent at the IFCA Slalom World Championships. We're having a look at a bit of gear, and I've obviously bumped into this big
Hello, small man.
brute here. Look at this fella. Jordy Vonk is here. Are you going to be world champion this year?
I have to defend my title.
You were world champion last year, so there you go.
Last year there was no World Championships, but two years ago I won it in Paros. So it's actually me to defend it.
Okay, feeling the pressure?
No, but no, it does. I don't know. It doesn't apply any pressure. I mean, in the end, it's already 2 years. Motivated anyway. There's plenty of fast guys around.
Okay.
So pressure, no pressure, it will be exciting anyway.
Okay, well let's talk about gear. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about gear. We have got all your gear set up in the tent now. This isn't the P2A. This is IFCA. So there are different rules.
Yes.
What are the rules? What equipment are you allowed? Is there a registry process? Maybe just talk us through what you can register.
Yeah, here we race from 11 knots on. So the Slalom X we have now, we start from 18 knots, like 7-8 medium board, kind of powered up. Here not, it's 11 knots. And 11 knots is not that much wind, like we need big stuff. So out of the 4 sails and 2 boards we're allowed to register.
So you're allowed to register 4 sails?
4 sails, 2 boards, which I think is pretty tough. A place like Denmark is literally where it can go everywhere.
Yeah.
When you go to Forte, I leave the big board at home, you never need it. You go to, I don't know, Alachati, you leave the small board at home because you never need it. In Denmark, you have everything. Yeah. You have 0 knots, 11 knots, 45 knots, like
and it looks like we could get that.
Yes, I mean there's no wind now. Tomorrow looks lightish, but maybe something possible. I'm already scared for Tuesday because it shows up to 37 knots now, and I think we get to the point of what I registered, and 37 knots for that kind of.
Okay, so just to explain to people at home, most slalom guys will have 3 boards.
Yes.
A small board, a medium board, and a large board,
Yes.
which is like a 140. We're talking volume first.
Yeah, 140, 116, and 99 liters. Yeah. That's the average what everyone has.
Okay, so you can only register 2 of those. What have you registered for here?
I registered the 140 and the 116. I mean, I'm 100 kilos. Like I need a big board.
The 140 is 85 wide. And the 116, 71.5 wide.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's kind of, like I was doubting, like should I maybe take the big one for the lighter days and then the small one for that strong day? But the forecast, I don't know if the people have been watching it, but it's changing all the time. So it's too risky to, you need the big board. I mean, we race from 11 knots on.
So you need that. That's like the bread and butter, light winds. What sort of sail sizes are you putting on the 140?
Actually, only the 8.4.
So just the big sail?
Just the big sail. It can have a 7.8 as well. For freeride, I believe is very nice because the size of the board carries the weight of the sail. So the sail feels super light. But we're not here to cruise around. No. We're here to work and go fast and whatever. So then a 7.8 is faster on the 116. Okay. But you need it because whenever it's under 16, 17 knots, which I think we will get, I need this board and I need the 8.4. Yeah. So
pretty much everyone has had to register their big board?
Yes. Okay. Everyone above 80, 85 kilo, I would say so.
Okay. Now, interestingly, just get some stats on you. How heavy are you? How tall?
I am 9,900 kilo. Okay. 193 tall, which can be quite good because in light winch I can kind of create a lot of power because of my length. Yeah. Like a shorter guy with the same weight would probably struggle more in light wind. Okay. But in the past I was always racing this with a 9.0 as well. Okay. But we simply don't produce the sail anymore because most of the foiling, the sails got more efficient as well. So maybe you don't need that kind of size anymore. Like I believe the sails became more efficient. But yeah, when it's 11 to 30 knots, and I know would be quite nice. But A4 on this board is my to-go set until, let's say, 16 knots.
Okay. What size fin have you got in here? Do you change the fin? Are we using just a 1 fin, 1 board, 1 sail kind of thing?
I really believe in that concept, let's say. Like I have a 44 centimeter fin, which is, I believe, in any condition, the best fin. Okay. It sounds funny, but sometimes a too big fin can work in a disadvantage again when the wind is light. Okay. Because you have more pressure to push below your back foot, but it can also bring the nose of the board down again. Okay. Because the board you know, with the fin here, is building up more pressure, you know, and it's pushing the nose down again, which you don't want in light winds. So, and then of course in strong winds, you don't want too big of a size because it also gives too much power. So, I
44 fin.
A 44 fin
on
for
85 board.
85 board.
Using my rule, half 85 is 42 and a half plus a little bit, 44.
Plus a little bit, plus a little bit, like whether that's 1.5, 2 or 3 centimeters.
Depends how big
Actually, yesterday I heard someone saying this rule. Let's say, I never heard of it before.
It works.
Yeah,
it does kind of work.
Plus a little bit.
If you've got no clue, it does work. If you're bigger, you've got to plus a little bit more, I guess. But I reckon I would use a 44, 43 in that anyway, wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, in most cases, okay, on the big stuff, it's not completely true because most of the people who are using this kind of setup, or if we talk, especially when we talk 7/8, 6/8, they're just using it in less wind.
Okay.
You know, whenever I'm using it on 18, let's say to 22 knots, you might be using it from 14 to 20.
Okay.
That's why I think most of the time the measurements of everything will be similar, unless it's really the big stuff. Because when we race from 11 knots on, I mean, I need to get going, you need to get going, so we might be on the same gear. But bigger than 45 is a no-go.
Okay, interesting. This obviously 71 and a half. What fin you got in here? 37?
Now a 37 because I have it ready to go for 7/8. Okay. When I go down on 6/8, I use a 36.
Okay, but this is going to be the key board because this is the board you've had to make the decision on because, like we just said before, the big board, no-brainer. We're going to be racing in the light stuff. You've got to take that. You need that. But then this board, it sounds obvious you're going to take the medium board, but if you're getting 35, 40 knots, which they say could happen.
I mean, at the moment you check Wind Guru and it's 28 to 37 knots.
Which is small board.
Which is 5/8 small board, still hanging
on. So you are now going to have to ride in the medium board.
Yes.
Which probably is a good advantage for you because you're a big fella.
Yes.
Maybe you got, you know, but.
Yeah, but in the end, you know, Bruno is a big fella.
Yeah.
Tati is a big fella.
Okay, they're all
Johan the Beast is a big fella.
You're right.
You know, so in the end, and it, I don't want.
So do you change, like, let's say you're on survival mode on the 116. What are you changing to survive the windy stuff on the medium board?
There is 2 things. A lot of people would say 3 things or think of 3 things. I would not go down in fin size.
Okay.
I would keep a 36. Why? I just believe that the width of the board in the tail needs a minimum size to have pressure to put it on the rail and go around the race course.
Okay.
And if you go smaller, you maybe have less power, but the stability will usually be less. So the fin size, I keep the same.
So 37 for your 7/8. If you're changing down to 7/0 and below, you change it down to 36.
36, yes. And the 36, that's it. That's as small as I go. Because in the end, you need to go upwind sometimes, or you have dirty wind from a rider, so you need power from the fin.
And there's enough leverage over the board. You need.
Exactly. You just need a minimum size. So fin size, if we get up to 35 knots, same. Foot strap position is something you can consider to change. If we shortly compare it with the big board, I always have on all sizes my back foot straps completely in the back.
Okay.
On the big board, if I have 4 options, I usually have it 1 from the back.
Yeah.
The medium board, 2 from the back, and in the small board all the way in the front.
Okay.
Which means my stance is changing per wind conditions, and the wider the stance, the more control you can get.
Okay. Interesting.
So this is how when I usually ride my 116. I have it. We have 3 options. It's in the middle, but I'm sure on Tuesday, when it's going all over the place and getting crazy, I consider changing them all the way to the front, because wider stance, you put your body weight a little bit more to the front, gives you more control.
Okay, interesting. Mast track?
Mast track was that other option. Putting it more to the front presses the nose down.
Yeah.
So to be honest, most of the time I'm never changing the position. Like I leave it.
So they're quite far forward. I'm looking at both of those mast tracks. If I look,
it's
I mean, I don't know if it's far forward, but just looking at the position to the box.
Yeah, compared to where the box is, yeah.
Do you measure it, or you just know where it is, where it feels the best?
The thing is, like, we have these must spaces.
Okay.
So I leave them on all the time. So I go tuning, I find a sweet spot, and that's it.
Okay.
You know, like I just leave them on in the board bag, in the van, whatever. And then when I go sailing, I just put the pin inside, and I can go again.
And what are you thinking? Do you really notice millimeters of difference? I know you do, but I wanted to tell you guys at home, because sometimes you think, it's roughly right. It makes
a difference. And the funny thing is, and this is what I always tell on clinics, you know, like we are refreshing gear every year. You know, sometimes models stay the same, so you kind of put it there and you try a little bit. But especially when you're at home and you have gear, usually for a bit longer time, and they're asking me like, but what happens if I put the must track all the way in the back? Why you didn't try it yourself? You know, like, because I can tell you everything, but in the end you need to feel it. You know, and it's like, especially here, you can, it's shallow for a long time. Just go out for 400 meters. Step off, put the must track all the way to the front. Go another 400 meters, step off, put it all the way to the back. Because then you create your own feeling. And we can tell you whatever. But if we tell you the basics, okay, to the front, the nose goes down, you have more control. More to the back, the board comes more loose. So you have more lift, which you want to enlight the wind. Then a question that can come up, like, why do I always keep my mast track in the same spot? Now we kind of reverse everything. If you put your mast base more to the front, you have a bigger planing area of the board, so you plane quicker.
Okay, interesting.
You know? So with light winds, you want to plane quicker.
But you'd have a higher boom if you...
Yes, yeah. So you want to have the mast base in the front, but then you need to make sure, of course, that the board is loose enough, because if the board is not loose enough, you lose speed there. But that's why I kind of search for that balance of like, okay, where, you know, do I have that planing area, that acceleration, but it doesn't fly too much. You know, that's what I'm searching for.
And that's relative, just for guys at home, it's relative to what sail brand you're on. How tall you are, where your boom is.
This is just
It is complicated, and I know, because I get asked this type of question as well, and it's like people go, you've just got to go and feel it, and they're like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but the more you try, the more you try and register, the more information you will get, and the more you will understand it.
Exactly, and write stuff down. You know, there's some people, they go like, last time I had such an amazing session, and now it feels shit. You know, and maybe they have 1 centimeter not enough downhill, the mast base a centimeter more to the back, and everywhere like a centimeter or half a centimeter, which they think they don't feel, but for them it's a difference between I have a good session or I don't have a good session. And for me, I go out and I straight away know, like, okay, the sail is this, the board is that, you know, like I can translate all I feel towards what I have to do. And the average windsurfer is translating it into I had a good session or not. You know, so if you have a good session, you know, it's no guarantee that your next session will be great as well, but like write it down. Like take your phone, you know, like measure how much distance you had of the downhole, or put a dot in the sail,
you know,
or do something.
You can get a pen and just
put a line,
whatever, you know, something.
Exactly. Write it down, and then you know, and then you create your own little database, and you can always go back to it and learn and feel, and sometimes also when it's shit, you know, like just write it down. Like I used this, it just didn't work.
Interesting. I did sneak my feet into his foot straps before, and I noticed something. This one here on the big board, I put my foot in, and I was like, well, you know, I've got small feet compared to this big fella, but I was like, that's quite small. And then I put them into this board, and my foot went all the way in here. What are we talking about here? What's going on? Maybe some people are interested. Smaller straps on the big board, bigger straps on the medium board.
Yeah, especially with the big board. I mean, 80% of the time, you're just pushing to reel that board on the side to get a lot of speed.
So explain to people, because people might not get it. You're not sailing the board flat.
No. The board wants to reel to the opposite side, so away from you. And this is like a trim we always try to aim for. And on the bigger board, it's more extreme, because there is more surface to ride on. And the smaller the board, the less extreme it becomes, because there is less surface. And the further you you are away, or the more you are standing on the rail, the harder you can kind of push.
Okay.
And the big board is the only board I use sometimes when I'm not overpowered.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's nothing bigger. And if it's 11 to 15 knots, I'm not overpowered. When I'm overpowered on this, you know, like I'm already powered up on this.
Yes.
You know, so this is already like flying basically from itself. So what I want on my medium and the small board is that I'm a little bit more inside of the board, so I get a bit more control.
Yeah.
So I go a bit deeper with my feet in the foot strap, simply for more control. Because whenever I'm riding this board, I need control.
Yeah.
If I need power on this board, I should be on this one.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And the same on the 99. Whenever I really need power on the 99, I should be on this one because I'll be faster.
So you're getting your weight further out on this.
Yes.
And
Yeah, to really extreme, put it on the rail, and therefore I have them, a bit smaller, so my feet are tighter in, so I'm standing a little bit further out.
Interesting. Because I think that's the feel that people maybe don't know, you know, if they're new to it or they've been doing it a while but they haven't really understood what it is.
Yeah.
How do you explain that feeling that they're looking for?
Yeah,
it's one of the the most difficult things that people ask me, and I'm like, well, you just... And it is difficult because it is a feeling thing, but definitely when you're in the straps here, essentially you want that part of the board in the water, so you're less surface area in the water, especially on the bigger boards.
And when we turn the board around, if I don't have a flat edge here, but you will see the V, which kind of rides opposite, and all the cutouts we have here, which makes the tail sink in a way that you have that perfect trim. Because in the end, we're actually just using this part of the board.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of all you need.
Yeah, yeah.
And then to come back a little bit to the mast-based position, like I'm having it quite a bit in the front, but my sails are not pushing the board down, like they make the board fly very nice, so I'm putting it a little bit more to the front, while maybe another brand sail, which is pushing a bit more.
Maybe, I don't know. Is it,
whatever, you know. Like
there are different sails. That's the thing you've got to take away from this. Different sails have different sort of downforces.
Characteristics, yeah. And this board, I mean, of course, we developed this with duotone sails, so it should work perfect for us. But not everyone who's riding this board is riding a duotone sail, and the board should also work, right? Okay. So if the sail is pressing a little bit more, you can also use it more to the back. And funny enough, like we have the mast track position here. If we move just the whole track a bit more to the front, it suddenly looks like, and I keep the mast base in the same place, it suddenly looks like I'm in need of power because I use my mast base in the back, but it's actually in the same position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the thing, it's deceptive. Like I said to you, looks like you've got your mast trace quite far forward, but it's really relative to where the mast base is.
But I also think, like, I'm tall, and I'm creating a lot of power.
Yeah.
You know, so I need something to compensate my power. Like Marco Lang, he's shorter, still big, but shorter. He was always using the mast base a little bit more to the back.
I'm always using mine further back than most people because I'm short.
Yeah, you're shorter. You create less power from the board.
Yeah.
So most likely you're looking a little bit more to the back. Yeah. But then again, for all the people at home, try it yourself.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you're tall, so use it to the front because that works for me.
Yeah.
You know? No, you need to see what works for you, and the only way to figure out is to go out, come back, change. Go out, come back, you know, and then first couple centimeters.
Do you use your GPS?
Yes.
Is that like your go-to sort of benchmark?
No, the go-to benchmark is another fast guy next to me.
Okay.
Because sometimes you go like 10 degrees more downwind, or you have that gust, or you go down that wave, and then the GPS is not reliable.
Okay.
You know, when I'm alone, of course, I look a little bit at it.
Yeah.
And especially for myself, you know, I'm motivated when I'm doing 38 knots and I'm sailing alone. It's like, okay, let's go 40, you know, like, and I'm pushing, and I'm kind of pushing myself because there's no other fast guy around. But when there is a fast guy next to you, you can just see what you do compared to that guy.
Yeah, okay.
You know, like you go, usually we go out with, for example, me downwind and him upwind. Then halfway the reach, we swap. You know, we go, we jibe, we do the same on the way in. One time out, one time in. Change.
It's quite funny.
And it's only one guy that should change. Because if you both change...
Yeah, you don't know what happened.
You don't know, you know, like, we both went slower, both went faster. one got slow, one stayed the same.
Yeah.
You just don't know. So the rule is always like one guy changes. Otherwise,
The
the test is
only
useless.
problem with that, which has happened to me in the past, is, and it can be a good and it can be a bad thing, you don't also know how well the other guy's going. And sometimes you're training with the fastest guy in the world, and
Yeah.
you're getting smoked, but then you realise you're the second fastest.
I had this
killing
sometimes.
yourself.
I had this sometimes with one of the first years where Alberto Menegatti is
Yeah.
not here anymore. But he told me like, Jordy, you really scared me today. I really thought I was slow because every time I was with you. But I realized you're also fast now. I was like,
Yeah, it can happen.
yeah, it's like this. But of course, when I don't know. when
Give me some GPS stats. How fast you going on the big board? What's
My-
average plus max, and then average plus max? Give me some.
my record is 37.5 knots.
What?
But like fully downwind, kamikaze,
Whatever.
like
That is
it's
ridiculous.
37.5 knots.
Wow.
But on a good day, I'm doing 33, 34.
Okay. That's still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this?
This I tried. I think I just missed out on 40 knots on this. But I'm pretty sure it's for sure possible. It's for sure possible.
Jesus.
With 6.8. Yeah.
And in a race, what we talking?
35.
Okay.
35, I would say.
That's
30.
crazy.
In the end, it really depends because sometimes I'm
Yeah, okay.
5 out, maxed out, like,
Yeah.
you do 34, 35 knots because
Yeah.
it's just so bumpy, but it feels like you go 45.
Yeah, 100.
You know, so it really depends on the conditions. And in some spots, you can be first at the mark, but you go 4 knots slower than you were flying and you're fit.
No, just
you know,
interested to give people ideas of what's possible. What
Yeah,
this guy is ridiculous. I am not joking. When I think I'm flying, he's come past me like I'm standing still. It's embarrassing. I just did some speed runs at home, and I'm like, Jordy would be well over 40 knots. And I'm like struggling at 39, and I'm like, I felt like I was about to die. But yeah, it's impressive.
Well,
Okay.
we go in the waves and it's the opposite again, so all good.
Just insane. Obviously, we just talked about boards. We're going to quickly touch on the sails because this is a fin-only event, and obviously we've got the big board, the 140. You've got to line it up with a big sail. Is that your big sail? You got a bigger one?